my spider friends. We're here today to talk about Christmas horror movies. It's kind of a weird thing that lots of horror movies come out around Christmas time, even if they're not Christmas themed. But it is traditionally a time for horror movies. So, being that I am a big horror movie fan, I wanted to discuss some of the best and the worst Christmas horror movies. And for me, I've got two which are my top Christmas horror movies, and two which are the worst Christmas horror movies. So we're going to talk about this. And for the worst, you may have heard of them. It's a movie and its sequel. The movie is called Silent Night, Deadly Night, and its sequel is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Now, Silent Night, Deadly Night is about a little boy whose mum and dad get murdered by a bad Santa at Christmas, and when he gets older, he gets triggered, very triggered in PTSD, and ends up doing a bunch of murders because of Santa. And it's kind of your run-of-the-mill 70s horror movie. It's not particularly notable. If it wasn't for the fact that it was set at Christmas, I'm pretty sure that it would be completely forgotten about by now. And then we get to Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which, in case you hadn't seen the first movie, includes about half an hour of footage from the first movie, and this movie is only about 90 minutes long. So instead of going with an original story, they just take some of the bits, and not even the best bits, from the first movie and present them to you as if you've gone in to see Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 without having seen the first one. It was some sort of crazy notion. So if you had seen the first one and you get to enjoy these bits, and I say enjoy these bits over and over again when you watch the sequel. And God, is that a piece of... It's not a good movie. It's a bad movie. Apart from the fact that it's just got half of the first movie in it. It's not entertaining, it's not funny, it's not particularly horrific in any way. It's just... I don't think they really know what they wanted to do, apart from the fact that they wanted to make a Christmas themed horror movie, which is fine because that's how Black Christmas happened in 1976, 74, 76. The original Black Christmas, which, interesting story behind it. The director had no interest in doing a sequel to Black Christmas, but there was a young upstart director called John Carpenter. You may have heard of him. And he was a huge fan of Black Christmas, and he proper harassed the director and said, what would you do if there was a sequel? What would you do? What would you do? And eventually he sort of caved, and he said, well, what I would do was I would have him come back at Halloween, and then I'd call the movie Halloween. It's interesting that John Carpenter heard about this movie that would be about a serial killer coming to a house on Halloween, dressed up for Halloween, and call the movie Halloween. But, we can only put that down to coincidence. So, me favourite Christmas horror movies are actually Black Christmas, not the 70s version, the 2006 version, and Krampus. But we need to talk about Black Christmas. See, there is another version of Black Christmas that was released, I think, 2019. I haven't actually seen it. There was some bad reviews about it, but what it is I just love the 2006 version so much. I know a lot of people who are fans of the original are like, no, it's not good. It is good, and it's much better than the 70s one that, to be honest, don't they make that much sense, but it doesn't. It's got like good things in the original Black Christmas. It's got Margot Kidder in. I love Margot Kidder before she went insane. But it's also got that woman out of the It series, the original one, not the new one. But it wasn't a great movie, and I think that the 2006 remake actually is a great improvement on the original. It's got a really fun cast in it. It's got people who you would probably recognise a lot more now, but people who at the time were like a little less known. Like if you're familiar with the Arrow TV series, it's got Laurel in it. Michelle Trachtenberg is in it. I cannot remember the actress's name, but she was in Final Destination 3, and she's in the movie as well. So like there's like a few people who you'll kind of like recognise from like other movies or other horror movies, and be like, oh, I know that person, oh, I know that person. And for me, Black Christmas is like the perfect Christmas horror movie, the 2006 Christmas horror movie, because it's just the right parts of everything. It's the right parts hacky and slashy and horror-y, as well as being funny and a little bit schlocky, and it's a Christmas horror movie. You're gonna have some fun Christmassy themed things, and for me it's peak Christmas horror is Black Christmas. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend it over the original, and I haven't seen the remake of it, but I'm sure it's better than that, because it had some terrible reviews. And Krampus is a much more recent film. It came in the year when everyone was making Krampus films for some reason, but that's what happened. That one, again, for me, it's a lot of fun as a Christmas horror movie. It, again, is the right part, sort of schlocky, horror-y, and Christmassy. And it meets all of those like requirements, and it brings them together, and it sort of makes this perfect little ball of festive horror fun that is Krampus. And I am a little bit upset that like Krampus merchandise didn't take off more, because I would really like to have more Krampus stuff, because I had to basically make my own Krampuses. But time will tell on that. Maybe we'll get more in the future. And I've seen a few different Krampus movies, and that's definitely like the best one of all the Krampus movies I've seen. And I've seen a few. So those two are like my favourite Christmas horror movies. There is another movie which I will give special mention to. I don't class it as horror, but it is one of my favourite Christmas movies. But some people would say it's dark enough to be sort of wedged into the horror category. And I'm like, I disagree, but I can see where you're coming from. And that is the seminal, and this is probably my favourite overall Christmas movie ever, and that is Batman Returns. Like, I had no idea that like some people don't like Batman Returns. I don't know what's wrong with those people. There's clearly some sort of like, I don't know, but Batman Returns is just it's everything that a Christmas movie should be, and it's got Batman in it. I don't know, that's just my favourite overall Christmas movie. I know lots of people say Die Hard, but it's not really a Christmas movie, and it's just become just a meme now. But yeah, so if you're looking for a Christmas horror movie this year in the festive season, please avoid Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, because they're both terrible. And check out, if you haven't already, Black Christmas 2006 and Krampus, because for me, that's like peak Christmas horror.